Hello everyone. So this is the second video of irrigation topic, and in this video we'll discuss subsurface irrigation and micro irrigation. And under micro irrigation we'll discuss sprinkler and drip irrigation, their advantages and disadvantages. All right, so let us start the topic. So first is subsurface irrigation. So we have in the previous video, in the first video of irrigation, we have already discussed the surface methods. So this is the subsurface methods where a pipe, okay, your irrigation system includes pipe network. So the laterals, the pipes are laid below the soil, okay, subsurface, below the soil surface. So they can be laid at different depth depending upon the crop, okay. So shallow, they can be placed at a shallow depth, so that can be from 20 to 30 centimeters for short term crops or vegetables, and for long term crops they can be placed deeper, so it can go up to 50 to 60 or even up to 70 centimeters. So at this depth pipes are laid down, and so you can see in the diagram, so from these pipes water will come out in the form of drops. So directly in the root zone we are applying the water. So water is not applied on the surface of the soil but directly in the root zone. So water, when it comes out, so when it is irrigated, so water will come out in the form of drops below the soil. So this water, so when the soil is wet, the water will move in all directions and wet the entire area through capillary action. So through capillary pores the water will move and wet the root zone. Now this has advantage over the surface method. What is the advantage? यहाँ पर evaporational losses will be almost negligible because surface के ऊपर तुम apply नहीं कर रहे हो. So from the surface the water will evaporate. So in the surface methods that is one disadvantage, where water will be lost through percolation also and through evaporation also. But यहाँ पर evaporational losses will be minimum and surface पे तुम directly apply नहीं कर रहे हो, you are applying near the root zone. So weed भी थोड़ा बहुत reduce हो जाता है. So even the weeds, their seeds will be near the top 2 to 3 centimeters. So unless they get water the weeds will not germinate. So यहाँ पर थोड़ा सा weed का problem जो है it will be less than the surface methods. Surface methods में क्या है, either whether it is through rain or whenever you irrigate, there the weeds, a flush of weeds will come out every time you irrigate because weeds also require water. उनका seeds को पानी चाहिए. So when they germinate, every time you irrigate or every time there is a rain, a new flush of weeds will come out. So that problem will be a little bit less in the subsurface irrigation method. So application of water through perforated pipes. So ये जो pipes तुमने lay down किए हैं at different depths depending upon the crop, उनका root system कहाँ पर है, राइट. सो वहां से उन पाइप से धीरे धीरे ड्रॉप करके पानी आता है एंड द वाटर विल वेट द एंटायर रूट जोन थ्रू कैपिलरी एक्शन. सो थ्रू perforated pipes to the soil directly under the surface. So that is why it is called as subsurface. So such practice is known as subsurface irrigation method. So इसमें और ज्यादा डेप्थ में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, just you should know what is subsurface method. That will be enough, right? So now we can directly jump into the important topic, that is micro irrigation. So under micro irrigation first we will discuss sprinkler irrigation systems. So इसका जो equipment है उसका mechanics है, we are not going to discuss that, वो agriculture engineering का part है, that will be too deep for prelims. Just we will know what is sprinkler irrigation system और उसका advantages क्या है, how it is better than the surface and subsurface methods. So sprinkler system. So sprinkler system में क्या है, you are applying the water in the form of rain. Okay, so the method of applying water, you are irrigating to the surface of the soil in the form of a spray similar to the rain. So water is applied in the form of spray just as rain, similar to rain. Okay, so this is known as sprinkler irrigation system. Now if you see the equipment, just we will go through quickly. अगर equipment को देखते हो, so I will maximize this. right? Now it is more visible. All right, so this is the source. So water source is generally a well is the water source. Now from the well you will pump out water. तुम irrigation कर रहे हो, so water source होना चाहिए. So well is the water source. Through the well water will be pumped out. So this pump will pump out water. This water will be sent through the pipes. Here you have a pressure gauge to measure the pressure. So this will go into the sand filter. So because it is a well, right, well recharge होता है अंडरग्राउंड वाटर से जो तुम्हारा aquifer है, from there well will be recharged. So sometimes there will be sand particles, dust, वो सब भी गिरता है because generally wells are open, so you will have all kinds of dust particle and sand particles, so they may block the nozzle of the sprinkler, so it has to be filtered. So water जब जाएगा sand filter से, it will filter out maximum sand particles or soil particles, dust जो भी है. Now it will, the water from the sand filter, once it is filtered, it will go into another screen filter. Okay, so screen filter के through बाकी जो कुछ बच गया है, so the particles that escaped the sand filter, they will be cleared out here. So screen filter will be there, it will catch other smaller particles, जो भी dust particles है या फिर sand जो भी बच गया sand filter में नहीं filter हुआ, those will be removed. Now these are pressure gauges. You can adjust the amount of pressure. किस pressure से तुम water दे रहे हो, irrigate कर रहे हो, you can adjust that through these pressure gauges. So you will have pressure gauge here to adjust the amount of water, the pressure or the force with which you are releasing the water, that can be managed. So here you have a main line. From this main line water will go into sub main line. ये sub main line है. From main line the water is entering into sub main line. So this is the main line, this pipe. From here the water has entered into sub main line. From sub main line you have laterals. ये lateral line है. एक sub main line से बहुत सारे laterals होंगे. These are laterals. On these laterals at different position you have razor pipe. So razor pipes will elevate the nozzle. Sprinkler head जो है उसके अंदर nozzle होता है. So sprinkler head को elevate करता है so that the razor pipe will be above the crop height. Crop के ऊपर हो. अगर ये crop के नीचे हो तो irrigate नहीं कर पाएगा properly. Water will not be dispersed properly. So the razor pipe should be above the crop height. So the razor pipe will elevate the sprinkler head above the crop height. So you will have your sprinkler razor pipes. At the top of the razor pipe you have your sprinkler head. So this is the sprinkler head where you have nozzle from where water will be sprayed, okay, in the form of drops. I mean it will be sprayed, so it will mimic rain. तो बारिश की तरह गिरेगा. So water will be sprayed in the form of rain, right? So that is basic equipment here. Okay, now so you can see in the diagram here, these are your razor pipes. Okay, razor pipe, they are above the crop height, and here you have sprinkler head जिसके अंदर nozzle है, through which the water will be forced in the form of jet. It will be sprayed. Okay, so the extent to which the water is sprayed depends upon the pressure. वो pressure के ऊपर depend करता है कि तुम कितना दूर spray करना चाहते हो. Okay, so that is the system or the equipment. All right, so you have seen what is sprinkler irrigation. You are applying the water in the form of spray that mimics rain. So that spray will fall on the crop. Crop लगाने से पहले भी तुम गीला कर सकते हो. After the crop has established, it will spray directly onto the crop. Now, what are the conditions in which we go for sprinkler irrigation? You can also go for other methods of irrigation, surface method, subsurface method. Sprinkler irrigation कौन सी situations में suitable है? What are the conditions which favor sprinkler irrigation system? Okay, so soils that are too porous, यानी बहुत ज़्यादा sandy soils है, light or sandy soils. So in such soils, if you go for surface irrigation method, बहुत सारा पानी जल्दी percolate हो जाएगा. So water will move very quickly downwards and it will go beyond the root zone. So if the soil is too much sandy, or you can say light soil, then you can use sprinkler irrigation. ज़्यादा पानी waste नहीं होगा, so you can go for sprinkler irrigation system. यहाँ पर तुम, here you cannot use surface irrigation because lot of water will be lost through percolation. Topography is shallow. So soil, तुम्हारा जो soil है, soil is not very deep, shallow soil, यानी थोड़ा सा 5 to 10 सेंटीमीटर तुम dig करोगे तो सब soil आ जाएगा. Okay, so soils that are not very deep, there you cannot level the soil properly. So your field, if it is not properly leveled, okay, you cannot go for surface irrigation methods. वो irrigation method use नहीं कर सकते because the water will not flow through gravity. So you have seen surface irrigation method में water distribution is through gravity, but here what will happen, if you do not level the land, what will happen, the water will accumulate in the depressions. तो यहाँ पर water logging का problem हो सकता है. Okay, so these are the depressions. So for surface irrigation method, one of the requirement is that you should level and you should have certain slope in one direction so that the water can be easily distributed through gravity. So if it is not properly leveled, so you cannot use surface method. अगर leveling करना चाहते हो तो leveling कैसे करते हैं? So you will shovel or dig up from this area. यहाँ पर जो elevated area है जहाँ पर ज्यादा soil है, you will dig it up and you will bury this low lying area. So यहाँ से तुम dig करोगे इसको पूरा, you will remove this and you will use this to bury this depression so that it will be leveled. So you will remove this and you will put it here so that this depression is buried. So you have to scrape the soil or remove the soil where it is elevated and you use it to bury the depressions so that the land is leveled. But to do that, soil should be deep enough ताकि तुम खोद सको. खोदते ही अगर subsoil आ जाएगा तो if you just dig it up for 5 to 10 centimeters and there is subsoil, you cannot level it. So such soils where the soil is very shallow, which is not suitable for leveling the land, there you can go for sprinkler irrigation. तुमको leveling करने की जरूरत नहीं है, you directly spray it in the form of drops, rain. Sprinkler करो, sprinkler irrigation कर सकते हो. leveling करने की जरूरत नहीं है. leveling you do it for surface irrigation method, you don't need to level. Topography undulated है, fine, you can use sprinkler irrigation system, you don't need to level the land. Then land having steep slopes and easily erodible. So where the topography is very steep, यहाँ पर slope ज़्यादा है, so what happens if you use surface irrigation method, lot of water will be it will flow as a runoff. Water soil के अंदर जाएगा नहीं, runoff की तरफ जाएगा, right? Slope अगर ज़्यादा है तो velocity will of the runoff will be higher. So with higher velocity it will have higher eroding power, soil will be easily eroded. So steep slopes होंगे तो वहाँ surface method use नहीं कर सकते. So that is why leveling is required because erosion will be there. So wherever you have steep slopes, you cannot go for surface irrigation methods because again there will be erosion. So there you can go for sprinkler method. So irrigation system, irrigation stream, the source of water, irrigation stream जो है ये बहुत छोटा है. So we have discussed that in the surface method, you just open the bund from the channel. So water is flowing in the channel and you open the bund and water will flow into the field. So it should have certain volume, right? ताकि पानी जल्दी से distribute हो. But if the stream is very narrow, very small, it will take a lot of time and lot of water will be wasted before it even wets the surface. So where the stream is very small, you can store the water and you can go for sprinkler irrigation. So undulating land which is too costly to level, उसको फिर level करने के लिए बहुत पैसा लगता है. You have to use proclaner और जो JCB है उसको use करना पड़ेगा. So it will become very costly affair to level the land for other irrigation methods. So in all such situations you can use sprinkler method, right? So labor available for irrigation, he is not very experienced, उसको soil के बारे में ज़्यादा जाना. तुमने hired the farmer who owns the field, he himself is not, he is old, suppose he is not irrigating the land himself, who knows about the soil and climatic conditions, but some hired labor. Now these hired laborers, they are not very experienced. उसको leveling के बारे में पता नहीं है, water कितनी देर के लिए छोड़ना है, he does not know about the soil properties, he is unreliable. So in such situations where the labor is unreliable, inexperienced, you can you go for, तुमको बस button switch on करना है. Already the equipment is laid, पूरा system जो sprinkler system है वो पूरा laid है. You just need to switch on and everything will be done. You don't need to depend upon the labor, right? So in such situations also you can go for sprinkler. So land needs to be brought into top production very quickly. So this is another situation where you can use sprinkler. Normally if the land is not leveled, usko pehle leveling karna padega, lot of investment, lot of labor, it will take time also, but within a week you need to start production. अगर ऐसा situation है, you need to quickly start the production, so you can go for sprinkler system. You don't need to level anything because undulating topography में भी तुम sprinkler system use कर सकते हो. Light and frequent irrigations are required and they are helpful in many situations like shallow rooted crops, germinating new plants. If you want to control the temperature also, if the temperature becomes very high, you can quickly use switch on karo bas. Because of irrigation, the temperature will be quickly lowered. You can control to certain extent. Okay. Then frost protection. If the temperatures are very low, especially in European countries, in grape vineyards, so temperatures sometimes become very low in the winters, right? So there it can lead to frost injury, a chilling injury or frost injury ho sakta hai. So water, you are pumping it from the underground, so you can increase the temperature to 1 to 2 degrees Celsius. So it will prevent the frost damage to the crops. So frost damage को control कर सकते हो by increasing the temperature to 1 to 2 degrees Celsius through sprinkler irrigation. That is another advantage. Right. You can also apply fertilizers. So you just add the fertilizer mixing tank को तुम अपने system में integrate कर सकते हो. You can apply fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides, other kind of amendments that can be applied quickly along with the water. So that is another advantage of your sprinkler irrigation system. So this can be done along with application of water. You can also apply amendments or fertilizers or pesticides. So if irrigation is to be applied to improve both yield and quality of some crops by reducing the temperature on hot days or to reduce the chilling injury in winters, you can use sprinkler irrigation system. For example, in all these crops where there can be injury to them because of high temperatures, you can reduce the temperature. In other crops where there is chilling injury, especially in winters, you can also increase the temperature to 1 to 2 degrees. India में इतना problem है नहीं, so European countries में ये chilling injury का problem होता है. Okay, so these are the situations where sprinkler irrigation can be used. Now it also we have seen in several situations means they are counted as advantages. जो भी हमने देखा, there are also in a way advantages of using sprinkler irrigation system. Now there are certain drawbacks or disadvantages. So देखो initial cost जो है it is higher, so that is one drawback. Operating cost, again electricity, all that thing. अगर कोई equipment खराब होता है, उसको ठीक कराना है, generally what happens is sprinkler head में nozzle, sometimes sand particles और जो dust है filter ठीक से नहीं हो पाता है, and those sand particles or sometimes the fertilizers if you are using, they form precipitates, they can clog the nozzle. So operating cost, damage हो सकता है, उसको ठीक कराना, those things, right? Mechanical difficulties. Now if you have laid sprinkler system, पूरा तुमने system, now heavy equipment जब जाएगा तो pipes को damage कर सकता है, lateral, submain, they can be damaged, so that is also is there. So operating and mechanical difficulties are there to use heavy equipment in the field once you lay down these system. So these are the main drawbacks. So we have discussed, we have seen the sprinkler irrigation system. Now let us move on to the next micro irrigation system, that is drip irrigation system. Now the main difference in sprinkler and drip is equipment almost similar hai, but the main difference is in drip irrigation you are applying the water in the form of drops. That is why the name drip or trickle comes from. Water drops की तरह आता है. वहां पर क्या स्प्रे. इन स्प्रिंकलर इरिगेशन सिस्टम यू आर अप्लाइंग द वाटर इन द फॉर्म ऑफ स्प्रे. हियर यू आर अप्लाइंग द वाटर इन द फॉर्म ऑफ ड्रॉप्स. स्लोली एक एक करके ड्रॉप तुम्हारा रूट जोन के पास अप्लाई कर रहे हो. ओके, नाउ इट इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम सब सरफेस. सब सरफेस इरिगेशन में क्या है, पाइप्स आर लेड बिलो द सॉइल. यहाँ पर पाइप्स on the surface of the soil. So pipes are laid on the surface of the soil here. Don't be confused with the subsurface irrigation. Drops आते हैं लेकिन पाइप यहाँ पर जो lateral है, it is on the surface of the soil. That is the key difference. Now, what is sprinkler? What is drip irrigation system? So this system consists of extensive network of pipes, usually of small diameter. So pipes are of smaller diameter that deliver the filtered water in the form of drops directly near the plant. So water is delivered in the form of drops near the plant. तो यहाँ पर entire field wet नहीं होता है. So weeds का problem कम होगा because normal surface irrigation करो when you go for wild flooding or any other method of surface irrigation, so entire soil will get wet. So in those cases the weed seeds they will become germinated and you will have weed problem. तो यहाँ पर क्या है, सिर्फ plant के पास तुम्हारा water जो है you are applying in the form of drops near the plant, so entire field will not be wet. So यहाँ पर weed का problem थोड़ा सा कम होता है. I will show you the diagram how the field looks in the drip irrigation method. So this is the drip irrigation system where there is a network of pipes and you are applying the water in the form of drops near the plant. Okay, so here is your diagram. Okay, so let us look into the diagram, then we can discuss the system now. So here again well you just sorry so here you have well, that is the source of water. So well है, well से तुम पानी को पंप कर रहे हो. So you have a pump and you are pumping the water from the well. So water will move in the pipe. So here you have a sand filter. Okay, so sand separator, hydrocyclone method. So here is the sand filter which will filter the sand or dust particles. Right, obviously source है, well में तो होगा sand particles या फिर clay particles, so they are filtered. So this filtered water will go through the pipes. ये जो system है ये fertilizer application के लिए है. So Venturi system, so ये बाद में हम लोग discuss करेंगे during the fertigation topic. So this is Venturi system जो है, it is integrated here. So fertigation you can apply fertilizers along with your irrigation water. So Venturi we will discuss later during the fertigation. Okay, so यहाँ पर fertilizer application के लिए जो Venturi system है, then this water will go into the sand filter again. So water will be filtered here. So this filtered water again यहाँ पर pressure gauge होगा, pressure gauge to maintain the pressure. So the filtered water will move into another screen filter. जो भी sand particles miss हो गए हैं which have escaped through the sand filter, that will be filtered here, screen filter, and from here after filtration the water will move into the main line. ये main line है, this is the main line. From main line again you have sub main line. So main line से तुम्हारे पास sub main line है यहाँ पर, right? From the main line you have ये main line है, you have sub main line, and from sub main line you have laterals. So ये laterals हैं, these are your lateral pipes. Okay, so these are called as laterals. Okay, laterals. Now on these laterals you have small emitter. तो at particular distance यहाँ पर देखो तुम छोटा सा opening है. So these are called as dripper or emitters. Usually they are inside the pipe. Okay, so from here small drops water will fall onto the surface near the plant in the form of drops. Now on the laterals, ये जो laterals है, laterals में जो emitter का distance है, जो emitter या dripper जो है, they will be placed at a particular distance. So it depends upon the crop. So plant to plant spacing जो है ना, so it can be 20 centimeters or 30 centimeters, whatever it is. So you will use standard spacing for a particular crop. So plant to plant जितना distance है, you have to purchase the laterals where emitters are at that particular distance. Crop change करोगे तो तुमको laterals change करना पड़ेगा because emitters are fixed. So you have to use the laterals where the drippers or emitters are at a particular distance suitable to the crop. क्रॉप अगर एक प्लांट से दूसरे प्लांट के बीच में डिस्टेंस 20 सेंटीमीटर है, so you have to purchase the lateral where emitters are also at 20 centimeter distance so that they will be aligned. तो एक ड्रिपर एक प्लांट के पास होगा. So you change the crop, next season में तुमको नए laterals लाने पड़ेंगे. Okay, so this is the system. So this is your drip irrigation system. Okay, now let us discuss. So the water outlet device in the pipe is called as emitter. तो वाटर आउटलेट डिवाइस जो छोटा सा जो तुम्हारा ओपनिंग है, ड्रिपर और एमिटर, so through this water will come out in the form of drops. Now how much water you want to allocate through each dripper, you can adjust that. So एक ड्रिपर से या एक एमिटर से 1 लीटर पर आवर, हाफ लीटर पर आवर जो भी वाटर अप्लाई हो रहा है वो ड्रॉप्स के फॉर्म में अप्लाई हो रहा है. सो यू कैन एडजस्ट दैट थ्रू प्रेशर गॉज. सो कितना प्रेशर से तुम पानी अलाउ करोगे उतना फास्ट तुम्हारे ड्रॉप्स आएगा. सो जितने फास्ट ड्रॉप्स आएगा मींस that much water you are applying, 1 liter, 2 liter, 3 liter per plant, right? So from each dripper that much water will come out. So you can adjust the speed. So amount of water that you are applying to each plant can be adjusted. So emitter discharging only few liters of water per hour. So how much water you want to apply, उतना ज्यादा प्रेशर से तुम दोगे तो उतना जल्दी जल्दी ड्रॉप्स आएगा. स्लो कर दो प्रेशर, स्लोली एक एक ड्रॉप के बीच में इंटरवल ज्यादा होगा, टाइम इंटरवल. सो एक ड्रॉप आएगा, फिर 2-3 सेकंड के बाद फिर एक ड्रॉप गिरेगा. सो लेस वाटर विल बी अप्लाइड डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द क्रॉप. So you can adjust the amount of water applied to each crop, or the water which is coming out of each emitter, you can adjust that through pressure gauge. So from emitters water spreads laterally and vertically through soil capillaries. So let us see that through a diagram. यहाँ पे देखो. So this is your plant. So imagine this is your crop, right? So यहाँ पर तुम्हारा lateral है. So lateral will be laid down here. यहाँ पर lateral तुम्हारा laid down कर रखा है. And on the lateral you have here emitter. Okay, so from here water will come out in the form of drops. तो drops एक drop की तरह एक एक drop करके गिरेगा. Now when this area is wet, slowly the water will move in all directions. So धीरे धीरे क्या होगा, ये entire area near the soil, तो ये थोड़ा सा और पास होता है. emitter मैंने थोड़ा दूर बना दिया, it is more near. Okay, so suppose दिस इज योर एमिटर, यहाँ से पानी आ रहा है. एमिटर मैंने थोड़ा दूर बना दिया था, ये एमिटर है, इमेजिन करो. सो दिस इज योर एमिटर. तो यहाँ से पूरा का पूरा जो रूट जोन है नियर द प्लांट, द एंटायर एरिया विल बी वेट. ओके, सो यहाँ पर दूसरा प्लांट है. इमेजिन हियर देयर इज अनदर प्लांट, राइट? इसका एरिया पूरा वेट होगा. सो दिस एरिया दिस विल रिमेन ड्राई. सिर्फ प्लांट के रूट जोन के पास वेट होता है, रेस्ट ऑफ द एरिया विल रिमेन ड्राई. So the problem of weeds will be reduced. यहाँ पे weed का problem नहीं होता इसलिए. Whatever थोड़ा बहुत जो weeds होगा वो plant के पास होगा, प्लांट के पास ही थोड़ा बहुत वीड्स आएगा, यू कैन इजिली यूज हैंड्स, लेबर, एक लेबर होगा तो वो भी तुम्हारा पिक कर सकता है, एक दो लेबर. So from the emitters, water spreads laterally and vertically through capillary forces, and water will spread in all directions. Okay, gravity भी pull करता है, and it will also spread laterally. Okay, so the area wetted by an emitter depends upon the flow rate, also depends upon the soil type. So flow rate माने कितना fast, कितना ज़्यादा pressure में तुमने, so you use more pressure, more water will come out, so larger area will become wet. अगर धीरे धीरे ड्रॉप्स आएगा, प्रेशर लेस थोड़ा कम है तो धीरे धीरे ड्रॉप्स आएगा, स्मॉलर एरिया विल बिकम वेट. सो इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द फ्लो रेट, सॉइल टाइप पे भी डिपेंड करता है, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ सॉइल यू हैव, क्लेई सॉइल है, लोम है या सैंडी सॉइल है, उसके ऊपर भी डिपेंड करेगा, सॉइल मॉइस्चर, हाँ, एंड योर कैपिलरी पोर्स, vertical and horizontal permeability. So it all depends upon soil type, soil moisture, flow rate. Okay, the control head, so the equipment हमने देखा, control head usually is located at the source of water. Well is the source of water, so the entire equipment will be near the source of water. So it has flow control valves, measuring devices, pressure gauges, pressure controls, filters. So we have seen all that equipment. Okay, and fertilizer injection system भी होता है, so you can add it, you can add the fertilizer injection system, जो वेंचुरी देखा था हम लोगों ने, so that is a fertilizer injection system. You can apply fertilizer along with irrigation water, that is called as fertigation. Okay, so this was about the, so the field looks something like this. So you can see this diagram, देखो यहाँ पर कहाँ सिर्फ प्लांट के पास ही तुम्हारा वेट हो रहा है, you can see only a very small area is wet, ये पूरा जो बाकी एरिया है it remains dry. So यहाँ पे weed germinate नहीं होगा, so weeds will not germinate because they are not getting moisture. Okay, they are not getting moisture, so weed seeds will not germinate, तो weed का problem यहाँ पर कम होता है. Okay, so lateral lines are generally flexible, so you can bend them, flexible pipes हैं, they are of 12 to 32 mm in diameter. Emitters are inserted into the lateral lines at a predetermined spacing chosen to fit the crop and the soil condition. So laterals have to be changed if you change the crop. वो crop कौन सा तुम प्लांट कर रहे हो, वो इंडिविजुअल प्लांट के बीच में जितना डिस्टेंस है उतने डिस्टेंस पे तुम्हारा एमिटर्स होते हैं. यू चेंज द क्रॉप, यू चेंज द एमिटर, यू हैव टू चेंज द लेटरल्स. So greater yields, better quality are obtained due to constant moist soil in the root zone. So कभी भी water का deficiency नहीं होता है, so you can just by switching it on the entire field will be irrigated. Water loss नहीं होता है, हाँ, जैसे तुम्हारा surface irrigation method था, so through the channel the water will be flowing, you will open the bunds and entire field will be irrigated. तो वहां पर क्या है, evaporation losses, channel में जब flow हो रहा है तो वहां से भी percolation losses होगा, seepage होगा, so वहां पर water application efficiency will be very low. तो यहाँ पर देखो water application efficiency is 100%, well से सीधा root zone पे जा रहा है, there is no conveyance loss. Water from the source it has to be brought to the field, तो channel के through जो ला रहे हैं वहां पर evaporation losses, percolation losses all of there. यहाँ पर क्या है, वेल से सीधा तुम्हारा रूट जोन में जा रहा है, तो एप्लीकेशन एफिशिएंसी इज 100%, देयर इज नो वाटर लॉस ड्यूरिंग द कन्वेयंस. वाटर को तुम फील्ड तक लेके आ रहे हो तो पाइप्स में आ रहा है ना पूरा. ओके, एंड कंपेयर टू अदर मेथड्स 30 to 50% ऑफ वाटर विल बी सेव्ड. सो ऑब्वियसली फील्ड में तुम अप्लाई कर रहे हो तो थोड़ा बहुत इवापोरेशन लॉस तो होगा ही, राइट, बट कंपेयर टू अदर मेथड्स एफिशिएंसी इज हायर, एप्लीकेशन एफिशिएंसी इज 100%, और जो तुम्हारा वाटर सेविंग्स है इट इज अप टू 30 to 50%. वंस यू अप्लाई, यहाँ पर भी थोड़ा बहुत लॉस होता है फील्ड से, बट फ्रॉम द सोर्स टू द फील्ड everything is through pipe, so there is no conveyance loss. Application efficiency is 100% compared to other systems. जो तुम्हारा वाटर सेविंग है इट इज ऑलमोस्ट 50% तक तुम पानी बचा सकते हो. सो हियर यू कैन सी एमिटर तुम्हारा अंदर है, ऐसे एमिटर होता है, यहां से तुम्हारा ड्रॉप आ रहा है, पाइप के अंदर होगा, राइट. सो वीड्स का प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता है यहाँ पर. सो यू कैन जनरली सी this system more effective in under controlled system. So जहां पर तुम्हारा पॉली हाउस या ग्रीन हाउस कल्टिवेशन में, प्रिसिशन फार्मिंग में ड्रिप इरिगेशन यूज करते हैं, राइट? सो insect pest and disease problems are reduced. So once a particular plant is disease, suppose कोई bacterial disease है या फिर कोई fungal disease है, wilt है, so if one plant is affected through irrigation water, एक plant से दूसरे plant में पूरे field में spread हो सकता है. If you use surface irrigation method or any other irrigation method, entire field will be affected. एक plant से दूसरे plant में तुम्हारा soil जब भी move करेगा through irrigation water, it will spread, right? But यहाँ पर वो problem नहीं है. If you are irrigating the entire field, humidity will increase. Sprinkler use कर रहे हो, वहां पर भी एक problem है. Sprinkler में entire field will become wet, right? You are spraying, plants के surface के ऊपर बारिश की तरह गिरेगा ना, so it will fall on the crop, so the leaves will be wet. तो अगर कोई spores हैं, they will germinate. So compared to other systems, the problem of insect pest or diseases will be less. Okay, and once you use this system in poly house, तो वहां तो बिल्कुल भी कम, almost negligible. So there is a less weed problem. weed problem नहीं होता है यहाँ पर. तुम fertilizer भी apply कर सकते हो. fertigation, you just integrate your fertilizer application system. So Venturi जैसे system है. So weed problem will be less. Soil crusting will not be there. Interference with harvesting, वो सब कुछ नहीं होता. So very suitable for horticulture crops in arid and semi-arid regions and saline areas. So salinity will increase if you are using fresh irrigation water also. So dryland areas में अगर fresh water भी use कर रहे हो तो salts through evaporation they will come to the surface. So जैसे तुम्हारा इंदिरा गांधी कैनाल आने के बाद तुम्हारा श्रीगंगानगर वो जो पूरा डिस्ट्रिक्ट है वहां पर soil has become saline. So ये salinity को reduce नहीं कर, ऑलरेडी जो soil saline है उसको reduce नहीं करेगा. It cannot reduce it, but salinity आएगी नहीं इससे. So these are the advantages. So saline को ज्यादा emphasize मत करो, it won't have much effect. Okay, जो ऑलरेडी saline soil है वहां पे तुम कुछ नहीं कर सकते, ड्रिप इरिगेशन भी यूजलेस है. बट सॉइल अगर तुम्हारा नॉर्मल है उसको सलाइन नहीं बनाएगा क्योंकि तुम उतना ज्यादा पानी यूज नहीं कर रहे हो. ओनली रूट जोन इज बीइंग वेट. ओके, सो क्लॉगिंग डिसएडवांटेजेस क्या है? सो अगर फिल्टर नहीं होता है तुम्हारा ठीक से, सैंड फिल्टर या फिर तुम्हारा जो स्क्रीन फिल्टर, इफ इट इज डैमेज्ड और इट इज नॉट वर्किंग प्रॉपरली, तो सैंड पार्टिकल्स विल एंटर इनटू द लेटरल और जो तुम्हारा एमिटर है उसको क्लॉग कर देगा. वो छोटा सा होल है जहां से तुम्हारा एक एक ड्रॉप करके गिर रहा है. इफ दैट होल इज ब्लॉक्ड देन, so clogging of small openings in the emitters by sand or clay or particles. If you're using solid fertilizer के अंदर अगर कोई you use carriers, solid fertilizer में carriers यूज करते हैं हम लोग. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल यूरिया ग्रैन्यूल्स है, उसमें सिर्फ 46% है, रेस्ट ऑफ इट इज कैरियर. सो दैट कैन आल्सो क्लॉग. इफ यू आर यूजिंग एनी फर्टिलाइजर व्हिच फॉर्म्स प्रेसिपिटेट्स, जो सॉल्ट प्रेसिपिटेट्स फॉर्म कर रहा है, दो सॉल्ट पार्टिकल्स कैन आल्सो क्लॉग. ये थोड़े प्रॉब्लम्स हैं. तो इन्वेस्टमेंट कैपिटल है, बट अगेन सब्सिडी इज गिवन बाय द गवर्नमेंट सब्सिडी दे रहा है. एंड सेंटर प्लस स्टेट सब्सिडी है, इट कैन गो अप टू इवन फॉर सम स्टेट्स इवन 75% 80% सब्सिडी भी मिलता है, सेंटर प्लस स्टेट दोनों का मिला के. ओके, मोर स्किल्ड लेबर, अगेन वर्किंग कॉस्ट भी ज्यादा होता है इसका. अगर कुछ खराब हो गया तो इंजीनियर जब तक नहीं आता तब तक वेट करना पड़ेगा. सो ऑल दीज आर द डिसएडवांटेजेस. ओके, नाउ so this question is from the first video. So irrigation, before we started the topic of irrigation, I showed you this question. So this is a PYQ in the prelims. So what are the advantages of drip irrigation? So reduction in the weed, yes, we have seen that it is clear, weed problem को कम करता है. सैलिनिटी को कम नहीं करता. Already if your field is saline, drip irrigation will not have any effect, so it will not reduce salinity, right? So normal soil में उसको saline नहीं बनने देता. It can prevent the soil from becoming saline, but it will not reduce salinity. So ये गलत है. Reduction in soil erosion, हाँ भाई एक एक बूंद करके गिर रहा है तो there will be no runoff, right? So soil erosion reduce होता है, weed problem reduce होता है. So 1 and 3 are the right. So C is the correct choice. So that will be about the micro irrigation. Okay, sprinkler, drip हम लोगों ने देख लिया. So there was a question, so we have seen that. So in the next video we will discuss fertigation. Okay, thank you.